Corporate finance practice problem using Excel. We're going to get into more detail about what might be included in the bond rate as we calculate the bond rate at issuance. We'll calculate the price of the bond at issuance and then look at changes in the market rate and the differences in the price from them. Get ready. It's time to take your chance with corporate finance. Here we are in our Excel worksheet. If you have access to the Excel worksheet and would like to follow along, note that we are in the practice tab as opposed to the example tab. The example tab in essence being an answer key. We're going to have our information on the left-hand side. We will populate that information into the blue area on the right-hand side. Information says we have issued bond in the past. So we're going to say it was issued 5 years ago. Par value 1,000. The life is going to be 20. So we can imagine we see that on basically the actual bond. At that point in time, we're going to say that the rate on the bond was 17%. Now we're imagining this at the point in time that we issued the bond. We came up with the rate and we're trying to match the rate when we issue the bond to the market rate. So when we create the bond and issue it, hopefully the rate is going to match the market rate and therefore we can issue the bonds at the 1,000. And then as time passes, there might be a change, and that's when, of course, the rate on the bond could differ from what is in the market at that point in time, resulting in us, if we trade the bond, then having a difference between the amount on the bond, the par value of the bond, and the price of the bond, resulting in either a premium or discount type of situation. So some things we might take into consideration then when thinking about the value of the bond, when thinking about the rate of the bond, and we're trying to match it when we're basically issuing the bond, we're trying to match up what we believe the market rate would be. So we'd be considering things like the rate of return, which we're going to say 6%, inflation premium, so what's going to be the inflation, and then a risk premium in the certain types of bonds that we have. Now, obviously, these kind of concepts, these types of things could be more complex for us to give us our analysis between these, but these are some of the things that we would then consider to match up our bond price to what the market price would be to then issue them. We're going to say then when issued, it was at the 17%. So now I'm going to go through the calculation just to prove that if we have that 17% and that's what we issued them at, and we do the same calculation, we'll get to the face amount of the bond, which will be the 1,000, assuming at the point of issuance that both the market and the issue rate are the same, which is going to be that 17%. Then we're going to say that there was a change of 3% now for the inflation here, which has gone down, and that will result, and 5 years have then passed at that point, that will result in a difference, a change from the par value, and we'll calculate the price and what that change will be. So let's start off. We're going to use this 17%. We're going to assume then that is both the market rate and the rate that is on the bond, and then we'll see a difference to it. This will be kind of boring calculation because we expect to get to the par value because those two rates are the same, but these present value calculations can be a little bit confusing, so it's kind of nice just to work this out and get to that one number, and then we'll make the change. So we're going to do our same kind of thing. We're going to present value the annuity and then present value of 1. Annuity formula is going to be P times 1 minus 1 plus R to the negative N over R. We're going to put that into our worksheet as we have seen in the past. P is going to be in the outer column. It's going to be the 1,000 times the 17%. We're working with that 17% as both the market rate and the rate on the bond. So I'm going to pick that up, 17%. And we're going to say that is here. We don't have 2% in this case, right? There's no difference, and that's why we're going to come up to the same result of the 1,000. But just to work it out, we're going to say the 1, and then 1 plus R to the negative N is going to be 1. R is going to be then the 17% again. Now this would be where the market rate would be. They're the same at this point. We're going to say home tab numbers percentify, home tab font underline, adding those up using the trusty SUM, otherwise known as the sum function. Home tab numbers, percentifying that, taking that to the number of periods, at this point that being 20, underlining that, home tab font group and underlining. I'm going to pull this to the outer column now, the 117 shift 6, caret, in other words, 20 or negative 20. Adding some decimals to see some stuff going on, want to see some action in the numbers group. We add the decimals, home tab font underline, subtracting the 1 minus that number that we just got to, and then adding decimals there, home tab numbers, add some decimals. That's finally the numerator, the num Let's go to the denominator, and we're going to say this is going to be equal the rate, 17%, which would be the market rate, but they're the same at this point. Home tab numbers percentify, and then we'll take the num divided by the denom, first underlining though, underline, outer column, the num divided by the denom, and then we're going to go home tab numbers, add some decimals there, and home tab font underline, and finally multiplying out the outer column. Multiply out the outer. Multiply out the outer. And then add some cents, home tab, numbers, cents added. So there we have that. And then we're going to do this a couple different ways. We could do this, of course, with an Excel calculation over here, which is probably the easiest way. Negative present value, shift 9, rate 17%, comma, periods, number of periods is going to be that 20, comma, and then the payment amount, 170. There it is again. Let's break it out from a annuity to present value of 1 calculations, 20 of them. 1, 2, and then we're going to select these two. 1, 2, select these two. Autofill handle, dragging the handle down, pulling the handle down to 20. And then home tab numbers, alignment and center, home tab alignment. Payment's going to be the same, 170 all the way down, annuity payments. Let's present value them one at a time. One at a time. That's how we get things done here. One thing and then another thing. So we're going to pick up the rate, comma, number of periods, 1, comma, comma, future value, 170. So there it is. That's going to be the value. Let's do it again. Payment's going to be the same. Why? Because it's an annuity. That's like what annuities do. And this is going to be present value, shift 9. Rate is going to be that 17%. I'm going to make it an absolute reference, selecting F4 on the keyboard, putting a $sign before the E and 6, comma. Number of periods, now 2, comma, comma. Future value, 170. We'll add up the prior plus the current, and then we're going to just copy that on down, selecting these 3 cells, grabbing the fill handle, grab that fill handle and pull it down to 20 periods, and then the auto fills, and there's the 957 again. Now, if I did this one more time, selecting this last column, fill handle, dragging down one more time, and I simply add the 20 period again, instead of the 170, we pick up now the 1,000, which is the end amount that's going to be paid out. Then we get to our end result, which again is 1,000. That's what we expect the end result to be. I'm going to make that yellow here. Let's get back to that 1,000 another way. But first, calculate this one more time using the tables. Table, time. Time for the tables. 170 times the amount from the table, annuity table, looking 17% and 20. Did they give me that one? Do I have 17% on this table? No, can't use the table. Sorry about that. No tables. The tables have failed me. Do not fail me again, tables. We won't do the tables this time. We'll do the present value then of the 1, then present value of 1 of that 1,000. I'm going to make this yellow again down here. Make it green. I work with the green ones. And this is going to be the formula PV equals future value times 1 over 1 plus R to the N. So we'll take then the value of the 1,000. And then we're going to be picking up the 1 plus the R. 1, R is 17. And percentify home tab numbers, percentify underline, home tab font underline. Trusty sum equals SUM, shift 9 up arrow, holding down shift up again. Percentifying home tab numbers, percentified, taking it to the power of 20. 20 is powerful. We took it to the power of 20. Home tab font underline. And then bring this to the outer column. That's the 117%, shift 6 caret 20 periods. Adding some decimals, home tab number, decimalizing it. Home tab font underline. And finally, we're going to take then the 1,000 plus, divided by the num divided by the denom. Couple pennies, home tab numbers, some cents added. And then I'll delete this just so that's our end result. If I add that to the end result we got last time, which is that 956.72, adding these up, we get to the 1,000. So we would expect that to be the case, but again, these present values are kind of confusing. So it might be worthwhile just to work through the calculation and say, yeah, if I present value using the same rate, using the present value of 1, and the present value of the annuity, we'll get to that 1,000. Let's calculate this one more time this way. I'm looking to get to that 4328 again. Negative PV, shift 9, rate is going to be the 17, comma, number of periods is going to be 20, comma, comma, chameleon. And then we're going to pick up the 1,000. That's a song, by the way, I think. I don't know. I have song in my head. That's the 4328. So then we're not going to do the tables because the tables have failed us, not having the 17%. So that's okay. We don't need the tables. We don't need them. Going to the left, we're then going to go down. Let's go. I'm in column A now. I'm going to scroll down to the next component down here, next component, where we're going to say now there's been a change of that 3%. So been a change now of the 3%, and 5 years have now passed. 5 years have passed. It's like a movie scene. 5 years have passed, and in that time, the inflation is now at 3% instead of 5. So calculate the present value. So we're going to do that again. Same calculation. We'll do the annuity portion. P times 1 minus 1 plus R to the negative N over R. So we'll do that again. That's familiar. We're going to say the outer column is going to be that 1,000 times, then this would be the amount on the bond still. It's still at the 17. That hasn't changed. So that's still the same, but the market rate now different. So now we're going to say 1, then we'll pull in this 1 plus R. R, I'm going to calculate this way, is now it was 17, and then I'm going to say minus, shift the brackets, and I'm going to then say the 5 minus the 3. So in other words, so brackets, and then I'm going to percentify that, home tab numbers percentify. So in other words, it's this plus this now, which is now 15%. So 15% instead of the 17%. That's the market rate. So we're going to underline, home tab font, underline, must have hit it twice, equals the sum, trusty sum function, summing it up, and then percentify, home tab numbers, percentify, negative number of periods, which is now negative 20 plus 5, otherwise known as 15, because this is 5 years later. We're 5 years later. This is where we're at. Home tab, font group, and then underline. Pulling this into the outer column, this is going to be the 115%, shift 6, caret, negative 15, adding decimals, home tab numbers, decimalizing it, home tab font, underlining it, finally taking the 1 minus that number. That's going to give us our numerator here, making that decimalized, home tab numbers, decimalized. And then we'll take the denominator, also 15, which I'll just pick up from this 15. Same 15, market rate, not the rate on the bond. Home tab, number, percent. We have the num and the denom, home tab font, underline. We'll do the num divided by the denom. This equals the num divided by the denom. Adding decimals, home tab numbers, decimals added. And then home tab font, underline, and finally we can multiply the outer column, that being the 170 times that thing we just got. Let's make some sense out of it. Home tab numbers and make some sense. 5 cents. Okay, so there's that. Let's do it again with the formulas over here. Present value of an annuity, negative present value, shift 9, rate is going to be the 15%. I'll just pick it up there, comma. Number of periods, 15 now. I'm going to say it's the 20 minus the 5, which 20 minus 5 is 15. I had to pull my fingers out there to count that. And then we're going to say we had payment is going to be 170. There it is. So there's the 99405. Again, let's do it again, this time converting the annuity into a series of present value of 1 payments, 15 of them this time, because there's 15 periods. 1, 2, selecting those 2, grabbing the Phil's handle, and then we're dragging Phil's handle down, to 20 periods. Actually, not 20 periods. We're looking 15 periods here. 15 periods. These blue sections, we don't need those. Those are not necessary. They should be gone on your worksheet, 15 periods. And then I'm going to center those, home tab alignment center. The payment amount is going to be equal to the 170. Present valuing now one at a time. PV, shift 9, rate 15%, comma, number of periods only 1 because we're taking that one payment back, comma, to get to the future value because this is not an annuity but present value of 1. There's the 178. Payment's going to be the same, 170 all the way down because it is an annuity. Definitionally, that is the case. Same payment, annuity. So that's going to be the rate is going to be the 13%, comma, number of periods now 2, comma, future value 170. I'm going to make that 15% an absolute reference because it's outside the table and I want to drag it down. I want to grab Phil's handle and drag it down so it'll autofill. So I'm going to put my cursor in E69, select F4 on the keyboard, $ being there then before the E and 69, making it absolute, absolutizing it. Then we're going to say the prior rep balance plus the current balance. And now I just want to autofill that down 15 periods, selecting those 3 cells, grabbing Phil's handle for the autofill, and then dragging that handle down 15 periods, and it automatically fills with the autofill. And then if I did that one more time, dragging it down again, then that's not, we want another 15 periods now, and I'm going to pick this up at the 1,000 amount. That basically gets us to our end result, the 117.17. I'll make that part yellow because that's a bit different. We'll recalculate that again. But first, do we want to do this with the tables? I don't think so. The tables failed us last time. I'm not even doing the tables at all. So let's do the present value of 1 calculation now. And that's going to be then the present value equals future value times or over 1 plus r to the n. So now we'll pick up then future value is going to be the 1,000, and then we'll pick up the 1 rate. The rate's going to be this, basically the 17 minus, I'm going to say the 5 minus the 3, which again is 15%. You could say 15%. Home tab numbers 15%. Home tab font underline, that's the market. That would be this, and this, otherwise known as 15% there. Another way you can look at it. And then equals the sum, the SUM, of those 2 numbers, percentifying it, home tab numbers, percentify, underlining it, home tab font, underline. And then we're going to take this to the outer column. Hold on a sec, I don't want to underline it there. Then I'm going to say to the number of periods, which is now 20 minus 5, or 15. Now underline, home tab font, underline. Then take it to the power of n, equals the 115%, shift 6, caret 15, adding decimals, home tab numbers, decimalize, home tab font, underline, and then we can take the num divided by the denom. There's the num 1,000 divided by the denom, that thing we just calculated, adding some cents, home tab numbers, cents added, 89 cents. That's a lot of cents has been made. So then we're going to say the present value we got before was this of the annuity component of the bond, and this is the present value component of the 1 payment at the end. There's the 1116.95. That should be the same as what we got to over here when we made that yellow one, except there's no cents here. Otherwise, same, no cents. Cents has been made even though no cents is there. So then we're going to say that this is going to be the present value. Let's get to this present value again. This is negative PV, shift 9, rate is going to be, let's just pick up the 15 right there, comma. Number of periods, I'm going to say is 15, comma, and future value is the 1,000. So there we have it. Again, we won't do it with the tables because the tables have failed us. So that means, of course, now we have an amount here as we calculate the price, when the rate changed, because the rate on the market now is lower than the rate on the bond. So you can imagine that if we're holding the bond, we kind of have an advantage there. We would be saying, hey, we're going to sell this bond out there. You're not going to find a bond that you can get 17% rate on out there at this point in time. It's just not going to happen. Therefore, we'll sell you our bond at a premium here, meaning the amount's going to be higher than the amount on the bond. When we issued the bond, we tried to make it so the rate was the same as what the market would be having out there at the point of issuance. And then, of course, deviations will happen quite quickly after that point in time. You would think the market rate, what the market perceives to be fair, being different than the rate on the bond, resulting in sales prices higher or lower than the amount on the bond, resulting in discounts and premiums.